Hi.
How you doing?
Good. You're getting old. That's how long it's been since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a year or so, I would think.
Yeah. You're looking good though.
Thanks, man. Right back at you. Hey, everybody. Eric Whitley here from Leading the Lean, and welcome to another episode of Leaning In. And today I got a guy with me. Have you ever met somebody that you're like, I want to hang out with that dude. I want to go do stuff, and it just doesn't ever seem to happen because I got Andrew Clarke on the line with me today, and we're going to interview Andrew. He's invited me to go snowmobiling a couple of times. I've invited him to go fishing a couple of times, and it just doesn't ever seem to work out. But someday we're going to make it work. So Andrew, hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
It's great to be here, Eric, and finally actually being able to do something with you is pretty good too.
So Andrew works for the company called Purple. Purple makes mattresses. They're in the sleep comfort industry is what they're in. They make a great product, fantastic product, proprietary processes, and it's just good stuff. You should go check it out. We're not sponsored by them. They're a client of Leading the Lean, and they use our software. So that's why we're talking to Andrew today. So, yeah, appreciate you coming on today. Hey, first thing, let me kind of get this out of the way. You guys know this, but the folks listening may not know it, and they're going to find out hopefully at the conference that Purple is the winner, one of the winners of the 2020 Leading the Lean Operational Excellence Award for their Grantsville facility. So, hey, congratulations on that. You guys well deserved, man.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. As you know, and you've seen, our team has lost them the opportunity to use that software that you guys provided, and I think they earned it. They earned it.
Yeah, some fantastic stuff. I was talking with some of your folks, and we were talking about, we're doing a case study for you guys, and or a case study on you guys, and we were talking about the fact that you started off this Grantsville facility basically was an empty building. Tell me a little bit about like the story. How did you guys get to that point? Tell me, maybe you could tell a little bit of the Purple story as well.
So extremely lucky to have tied in with this company early. The founders, Terry and Tony Pierce, developed a use for some hyperelastic polymer that they've been working with over the years, and they've made seat cushions with it and medical beds, and those are still viable products that are being made. They also then realized, hey, we can do a mass or commodity equipment, custom-made equipment to produce a mattress top and build a whole mattress for the market that can be sold as a D2C product where a Purple tube shows up at your front door, and there you go, run it into your house and you got a bed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So good timing, as in, I've got a polymer background, was able to hook up with some Purple people back in the early days, and I was just going to come in and have a look at the process and give some guidance, and we ended up finding out it was a good fit career-wise. And because we have this proprietary equipment, it's polymer extrusion and injection molding, and then there's light-duty manufacturing and light assembly afterwards where we assemble the actual bed. And there's, the brothers, Tony and Terry, had done a lot of work and tricking this out, so there was a system to use the rubber and to be able to do it successfully. And my job was just now to scale it into to the business it's become today as a manufacturing operation.
Yeah, it's quite the deal. So just for everybody listening, tell us what is your official role, official title? I mean, I know what you do, but what's your official role?
Okay, the fact that you know what I do surprises me, but
well, I know generally what your controls boundaries are, I guess. That's the way I should put it, right?
So I'm the VP of Engineering and Manufacturing for both manufacturing buildings and our engineering design group.
So kind of from a VP level, right? So from this level that you're at, we get a chance to talk to a lot of folks, and we get a chance to ask a lot of questions. So, but what do you think really is the value of having a system like Leading the Lean in your plant? What do you see the value as? You obviously have seen some value in that. I want to hear what your value statement is on that.
I think I've had some previous experience with computerized maintenance management systems, and I've been working in those environments and setting up equipment. And then I've also had experience with your platform in a previous career. And it was, I remember when we were looking at the project the first time, or the software package, and it seemed like such a sensible, versatile bolt-on to take us to the next level of managing processes. And really, when I talked earlier about scale up, this is the same thing with any software you have. Does it scale and grow with you? And, you know, I sometimes sit back as a proud father, and I watch my production groups and my maintenance groups working through problems. And, you know, it's almost knee jerk, but it's so sincere now when people come back and say, hey, we can put this into L2L and start managing it regularly and seeing what the data is really telling us. And you sit there and smile saying, they get it.
Yeah.
System that's versatile and people can just use it and adapt it.
Yeah. Yeah. How have you, and this is more of a larger question, not necessarily to Leading the Lean, but how have you seen like this technology? I mean, you and I are kind of in the same age group. I may be a little older than you are. I don't know.
I think you are.
But how have you seen this technology really change the way people do work on the plant floor?
The benefit of this technology, it actually helped grow our culture, especially as a younger company that's growing very fast and getting big fast. And in a smaller community, not a large metropolis, it's actually given young employees the tools to see what they're doing and see the visual impact on it, and get a response as well when there's problems, without going through a typical startup where they're struggling to do their best and they're trying to invent tools and change the process to improve what they do. We've given them a system now, and that they're actually buying in and wanting to be a part of, to help develop it and use it to help them make their lives at work easier. So it's actually been, it's paralleled our cultural growth and actually probably helped it grow, because now there's an outlet for people to use a method to communicate and understand what's happening. And I mean, it's a normal distribution of people too. Some people are so in love with it, it's out of control. You've got a general population that gets it and uses it. And there's probably some dissension still, people who are new to it or shy to it.
Right. From your standpoint, talking to the VPs of the world, talking to the C-level folks, what do you see as kind of the most important thing to keep in mind as you go through that growth phase that you're moving from this proof of concept to, well, you know, major manufacturing now? What has been kind of your core thoughts, and what have you kept in mind that whole time?
So I've been coaching a lot on the value of data and good data, and then transparency of that data and what it's saying. If we've got data that says we've made a mistake, you know, let's dig into it, own it, and fix it. It you know, it shines a light on some potential weak areas, but it gives a cultural tool to say it's okay that I screwed this up. What did we learn from it, and how do we fix it? With what are we going to start measuring in our system now that we weren't measuring before, to see that we're not having this happen again? So it's a maturity that I'm pushing our culture to get through, so that they know it's like a classic modern lean manufacturing operation where the culture owns the business and they're taking care of the business, and it's okay for them to say, hey, I don't understand this, or I've got this wrong. And having these tools that we can go back to and dig up the data and mine it and say, this is what happened on that day. It's a safer way, I think, to just say, hey, let's fix it then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, because there's a tendency, right, for leaders to want things to work right the first time and always. The data will always tell us that that's not what's going to happen.
No.
But having to make that culture and build that culture to where people can go back and look and go, okay, I see this didn't work the first time, or maybe the way I did it didn't work, and then to be okay with that, that's just huge. I mean, I you and I have talked a lot, and I know that's how you work, and that's great. How do you instill that into your middle leaders? How do you get them to break loose of maybe the 1 or 2 or 3 skills that got them to where they're at, in order to gain the 4 or 5, 6 skills that are going to really round out your cultures? How do you coach those guys to do that?
So I learned this a long time ago, and I didn't realize I was doing it, but where I first started out my career, I was, every morning I was on the line, an extrusion line, checking in with the operators from the night shift and the maintenance team. And, we'd argue about how to fix a problem and make it work better or safer or faster. And you get ingrained in working with the people that are actually paying your mortgage. So when you start working with, say, middle managers, and you're sincere with, the belief of how you want them to be able to be successful, they do start to see that this is okay. And I've had operator or middle managers in Purple in the Tooele plant that they've taken some time to get comfortable with me because they didn't know me. I had one shift leader who, I think he didn't have a care for me at all in the world until I picked up the manufacturing operation, the responsibility for it. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, after getting the time with him and working with him, he said, "You're okay."
Yeah.
And he's got my back now. And now he's asking me, so how do I improve? How do I grow further? And then you give him, a few of the classic books like Multipliers, so that you can see that, there's a way to learn about who you are and how you treat others. And that really drives home some of the steps to get to be open and trusting and, come forward and say, hey, this isn't going to work, and you're comfortable saying it.
What's funny is that right now I've got a presentation coming up here next month sometime. And what we've kind of landed on this presentation is that trust is really just key, right? And how you build that trust and how you get to building that trust with folks on the shop floor is probably the most, and this is what we're finding now, especially with COVID-19, but it's probably the most important thing, that you trust them and they trust you, right? And that the things that need to get done are going to get done. And that only gets done because of the trust that you guys build between one another.
And you actually have to stay out of people's way so that they can do their jobs, and they have to know you're staying out of their way.
Yeah.
And then, if there's an opportunity to coach on a decision or a path, you have to do that really sincerely. And people need to understand that being an outsider to the problem, you're going to see something that those that are buried in it missed. And you can come across quite rudely communicating those misses if you're not focusing on the sincerity of how you do it.
Yeah. I agree with that totally. What are the things that you do or daily, and maybe this is an L2L related question, how has L2L really kind of changed how you lead and manage daily? Has it, or how has it?
Eric, when our senior leadership is, I think we're fairly lucky. It's a small, still small as a company, where we can get out on the floor every day, and you try to be out there a couple of times a day when you're in the city that the plant's in. Our COO is regular in the plant and out on the floor, and there's an appreciation of that from the employees that are building our beds. But I think I have a genuine interest in employees and seeing them grow. But when you go into a new plant or you've got a line running, you've got young adults on the line, and you see the smile, you see their body position, you see how they're carrying themselves. And if you get used to that on a demeanor, and if you start to want to talk to the employees and understand what's driving them, and when you get in and you understand their story, and then you realize that, I'm not, on a pedestal as a VP, I'm another person who's in there to help understand what makes their job easier. Then they want to talk to you and tell you how well they've done in that day, where I'd stop at a whiteboard and the cell lead would come and say, hey, here's how our day's going. We blew it on these 2 hours. But people start understanding you're a human being and you just want them to kill it. That's it. You want them to win safely as fast as possible. And they smile when you're done having these conversations. And if they're stuck on the line and you're there for it, you can lend a hand and get in there and help. But you start developing this rapport with people, and they actually want to share time with you and let you know how things are going. And it's not 8 hours of that a day, because there just isn't enough time to talk to 400 manufacturing people on 24 operation. But it does travel through the plant, and it helps build the confidence of these young individuals. And I've seen these people start to go up the ranks as young leaders.
Yeah.
And they're asking about books to read. Again, these are people still live at home with their parents. So you start to see that and you realize, I've got a tremendous responsibility here.
Yeah.
Well, that just really drives it home. Like, this is where you have to take care of business. Yeah. And then when you start getting into, when someone starts talking about issues they've had, then you start reinforcing your systems. And it's always, did you document in an L2L? Did you put in a dispatch? Or at a later date, have you filled in an engineering change request? Right. And you start reinforcing the system that way. Because if it's not documented, tell them, like, it didn't really happen, did it?
Yeah.
Because we need the data. We need the data.
Our statement, right? If it's not in leading the lean, it didn't happen type of deal, right?
Yeah. I've even had, I remember the mayor's council from Tooele came out in the plant, and we were doing a plant tour, and I went to one of the whiteboards back before we went L2L, and it was red, 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 red. It didn't matter. It was red. There was a young woman on the line, and I asked her, I said, so what is this telling us? And she goes, I like the color red. But this is all the areas where we've had problems and need to improve. And I said, well, doesn't this upset you? She goes, no, it is what it is. We just got to get it better. And did you have the engineering support? Was the equipment running well? Was the PMs being done? And this was 2 years ago. But to see that response from a young mother on the line, like, I didn't know what she was going to say. And the mayor's right there with me. Yeah. It was, you couldn't have planned it. Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing to see her response, and she learned it that fast just because we're having these conversations.
Yeah. I love those moments when the fruit of those conversations pay off. All right, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you kind of giving me some things to think about and giving everybody else some things to think about, and appreciate you know, being part of the Leading the Lean group and the family that we have. And hopefully we're getting you what you want and doing those things that you want to help, you know, not only the Grantsville facility, but to help the Alpine facility. We're there for you guys. So really appreciate your time. So,
well, thank you. Support's been good.
Yeah, good. Hey, you guys, if you like what you're hearing on Leaning In, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on our podcasts on any of the podcast channels. Again, Leaning In, Leading the Lean, Leaning In. Eric Whitley, Andrew, Clarke, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, man, and look forward to doing something, fishing or something when all this craziness is over.
As long as our fishing poles are greater than 6 feet, we can go.
Yeah, we got them. We got it. Yep. All right, buddy. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.